Have you ever visited a beach? If you have, then you will notice that there is a periodic rise and fall in water. What is this? They are called as tides. And that's what we are going to learn today. So without any further ado, let's start our today's video. So in this series of oceanic movements, we are going to learn different types of oceanic movements like tides, wave and ocean currents. But in this part, we are going to learn about tides. So let's start. So basically the periodic rise and fall of water level in oceans is known as tide, and it is divided into two types, which are high tide and low tide. So the definition of high tide and low tide is that high tide is when the water covers much of the shore after rising to its highest level. Low tide is when water retreats to its lowest level, moving away from the shore. So in easy words, we can say that there is a certain level. This red line is a certain level. If that level is crossed by water in oceans, for suppose this is the water, and if this level is crossed, it is known as a high tide. But there is a but over here. But when the level of water goes below this level, means this is the level I told it earlier, but if the water level is below this certain level, it is known as a low tide. So now we have known what is a low tide and what is a high tide. Now we have to understand what are tides and how does it occur. So basically it is caused by the combined forces of gravitational force exerted by the moon and the sun of the rotation of the earth. Now you will be thinking, what is gravitational pull? It is the force which attracts the object towards its center. That's why we are able to walk on ground and not float like in ISS, International Space Station. The gravitational pull of the moon primarily and the gravitational pull of sun make tides. As moon is much closer to the earth, when the moon is in this position, the water in the ocean facing towards the moon will get attracted and will appear something like this, something like a bulge. Our earth will not be attracted much as it is a solid object, or we can say it has mass, but water is fluid, so it will bulge. And as I said it earlier, that earth will not get attracted much. I said it so because earth will be attracted a bit, and when it gets attracted, we will get this type of figure. And the bulge is formed on this side as well as on this side. Now this side and this side will face a low tide. Why? Because all water goes from these areas to the high tide. For example, the water over here goes to this portion, water over here goes over here, and water over here goes again here, and water over here again goes here. That's why these areas face low tide. Now let's name each of the side. Now I am going to take all the low tides as A and B, the high tides as C and D. Now as you know that our earth and moon both have gravitational pull. That's why they do not crash into each other. Instead, they rotate around the earth in a particular path which is known as an orbit. Now as I mentioned earlier, that ocean facing towards the moon. Now to understand this, I am making this diagram. This is our earth and this is our moon. For suppose it is on this position. So these areas will bulge, and here these areas will face a high tide and these areas will face a low tide. But as the moon has an orbit and it will rotate around the earth, so if this is our earth, and when moons come over here, and as I have said it earlier, that the ocean facing towards the moon will get attracted and will appear to bulge. So the areas which were facing low tide will now face a high tide. For example, A and B. So A and B will face a high tide, and C as well as the D, sorry, it is D not B, the D will face the low tide. And because of that, tides occur twice a day, and the time interval between them is 6 hours and 12.5 minutes. Minutes means minutes and HRS means hours. Now there is one more interesting fact, that when sun, moon and earth come in a straight line, something like this, the spring tides occur, and it mostly occurs twice a month. So when this sun, moon and earth come in a straight line, the spring tide occurs, which is known as the highest tide in the month. Means the tides are at their maximum level at this point. And when sun, earth and moon forms a 90-degree angle, the neap tide occurs, and it is known as the lowest tide. Means the during this neap tide, the tides are at their lowest level. This was a very interesting fact about neap tide and spring tide. Now we know what is tides and how it occurs. But what are the benefits of tide for us? First of all, big ships can sail in and sail out of harbor. Harbor is a place where the goods can be docked in and docked out. And during a high tide, big ships can only go and sail out of harbor. Secondly, the tidal waves help us to make a tidal energy, which is non-perishable, that we can make anywhere. Even in the future, if we are in the Mars, then we can create this energy. So that was the explanation about how the tides occur and what is a tide. So I hope you liked the video. Please like the video, share the video and subscribe my channel. The part 2 of this video will be released really soon. So stay tuned to my channel. Also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Link to it is in the description. And if you want to watch all my videos, then you will have to go to my Instagram and there will be a link in my bio. And if you will click on that, you will get all my details as well as all the details of my video. That's all for today. Thank you everyone and have a nice day.